think the slides are visible, ma'am.
Yes, yes, they are.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let us start today's session by wishing you all a very warm good afternoon and also a happy Holi for all those who are celebrating. Now, let us start the session for today, which is research skill development. Now, this entire FDP, the Faculty Development Program, is concentrating on research skills and different types of research skills and different aspects of how we should go about research. Now, in this particular presentation, I'm going to concentrate on research skills, what they are, how they can be developed in both faculty as well as students. Now, let us start with the presentation. Can we have the next slide, madam? This is just contents. So, next slide, please. Yeah. Neil Armstrong. I'm sure all of you have heard about him. Neil Armstrong is none other than the American astronaut who stepped on moon, who was in the Apollo lander way back in 1972. Okay. So he said that research is creating new knowledge. So what is research? Research is the creation of new knowledge. Knowledge is always there and it is endless. Knowledge keeps expanding every day. So, whenever we create something new in knowledge, it is called research. Research is one way through which we can develop knowledge. Okay, next slide. Yeah. Now, let us understand what research is. Now, there are two parts to this introduction. The first part is trying to understand what research comprises of. Now, let us see. Research starts with a search. You have to search for the topic, isn't it? You have to search for the topic and then you have to locate the information. You can locate the information in books, you can locate it on internet. Nowadays, mostly people are relying on internet, but still books also have a very significant role to play in research. So we have to search, then we have to locate, and after locating, we have to extract. We have to take it out. We have to take the information out. And as we take information out from various sources, we have to organize everything into whole, isn't it? We pick knowledge from different sources. And after looking at all these sources, we try to understand what it is and organize it in a very systematic manner. Okay. And finally, after organizing, we have to do our own experiment with it. We have to understand it with our own tools. And then finally, we have to evaluate it. So it starts from search, then moves to locate, extract, organize, and finally evaluate. And after evaluating, we present it. Now, the next section is, it is more intensive. Okay. Research investigates. What does it investigate? It investigates the theory. It investigates accounts. It investigates psychology. It investigates market. Everywhere research is applicable. So it can investigate anything in this world. And it is intensive. Now, when you investigate in research, it is not just superficial. You go very deep till you find the truth, till you find what you're looking for. Okay. So it's a very intensive, in-depth study, not just study, in-depth study. And it is analytical. Now, in research, we try to analyze what is what. We try to analyze the causes, we try to analyze the results, we try to analyze the impact it has on society. So it is analytical. And for analysis, what do we use? We use our thinking skills. Not just thinking skills, critical thinking skills. Critical thinking means understanding whether it is right or wrong, whether how far it is correct, and how we have to implement it, how we have to conduct the experiment. That is critical thinking. And questioning. Now, in research, we should not accept something until we get a proof of it. That is where questioning skills come from. We should not take information blindly and put it in research. No, we should think very carefully and we should question the authenticity, whether it is correct or wrong. How far is it correct? Is the method correct? Is the result correct? So, like that, we have to question in research. Next, please. Yes. Now let us understand the origin of the word research skill development. There are three words to this. Research skill development. Now what is research? Research is from a French word called recherche. Research means to find out, to search. Okay. So research is from the old French word recherche, which means to search and to find. Next, the word skill comes from era. Okay, so the language which belonged to Vikings is called or Norse. So in that language, the word skill comes from. And skill means knowledge. Our next word is development. The word development comes from again French language from the root word developer. Developer means unfurl, means open. Okay, when you open something, it is called unfurling. So, research development means nothing but to search for new knowledge and open it to the world. Okay, so that is research skill development. You are finding knowledge and you are opening it to the world. Yes, next. Yes. Now let us understand the proper definition of research. What is the proper definition of research? Research is systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. Now let us understand what this means. So research means a systematic investigation. I told you it is not just finding, it is going deep to find what is true and to prove it with proofs. Okay, so that is why it is a systematic investigation. And what are we studying here? We are studying materials and also sources. The sources of materials. We are studying materials and also the sources from which these materials came from. Okay, so we are studying the sources also. And how are we studying these sources? Through the help of facts. We are proving it with proofs, with experimentation and proofs. And finally, what is the end product? We are reaching new conclusions, means we are making new knowledge. With the help of old knowledge, we are making new knowledge by discovering new things. Okay, so that is research. Next, please. Yeah. Now, what is research skills? An ability to find an answer or a solution. Whenever there is a problem, we try to find a solution. Now, that finding of solution is called research skill. Information is gathered, reviewed, analyzed, and presented in a systematic way. So, information is, I told you, it is gathered from a source. Then it is reviewed, it is organized, it is analyzed, and finally it is presented. Like how I am presenting, like that we present, isn't it? Whenever we do research, we have a final presentation of our findings in front of judges. They listen to it and they approve it, isn't it? Yeah. Next, please. Types of research skills. Now, when you do research, you have to have three types of skills. Okay. The first skill is basic research skill. Next is primary research skills. And the third one is additional research skills. Okay. Now, what are basic research skills? Let us talk about basic skills first. Next, please. Yeah, next. Basic research skills. Yeah, these are the basic research skills. What are they? Organization, decision making, investigation and analysis, creative thinking, and evaluation. Okay. Now, what is organization? Organization is nothing but putting your thoughts or putting the knowledge or the information that you have found in a systematic manner, isn't it? See, right from childhood, when we start attending school, around fifth or sixth class, we are asked to take notes. Whenever the teacher teaches, we are asked to take important points. Some people start young, some people start a little old, but we all get this habit of noting down important points. Okay. Now, when we note down these important points, what happens when we are trying to formulate answers for our questions? We organize all these points, isn't it? With the help of all these points, we organize them and we make our own answer based on all this information, isn't it? That is how it starts in school. Now, that is the first step of research, actually. So, slowly, step by step, we try to improve this organizational skill. And when we reach the level of researcher, the level of a PhD scholar, then this skill comes into use very much. We go to libraries, we go to different websites, we go to different books, we go to different audio, video, different sources, and from there we try to gather information. And this information we try to organize it. We try to make it into a wholesome project, isn't it? Next, decision making. Decision making is very important for a researcher. Whenever we go to the source material and get lots of material, it we have to think, analyze, and understand which is the right one. See, sometimes some sources are misleading. Sometimes some sources are not clear. Sometimes some sources are very partial. Okay. So it depends on the researcher how well you can decide which is correct, how well you can decide how to progress. Suppose you are doing an experiment, you should be in command of your subject to know which direction to follow. Of course, the supervisor will be there, but still, we need to make decisions very clearly based on facts in research. You can't simply go or act blind. You have to depend on the evidence. Okay. Next, investigation and analysis. A researcher should be very thorough. You can't leave anything uh, halfway through. Okay. And you can't leave anything inconclusive. That is not allowed in research. You have to be very thorough. From starting to the end, you have to be very clear in your questions. Suppose you're doing a survey, you should be very clear about the questions you are asking. And what is the end goal of that survey? And how you are going to execute this survey. So all these things you have to be very thorough with. And analysis. After finishing the survey, what will we do? We will use statistics to analyze the given data. So that also we have to learn. The researcher should be very thorough in this analysis part, which is based on statistical analysis. Next, creative thinking. Now, sometimes the ordinary method that is followed may not be enough in some research. In such conditions, you have to follow creative thinking. You have to find new ways to get information. See, when I did research, the material which was available for criticism is very less on my topic because those works are very, very new and very less work has been done previously on them. So I had to find creative ways of going into different angles to analyze my work. And I had to go into sociology a bit. I had to go into psychology a bit. So, like that, I was able to get information from those allied fields into my field. So, like that, sometimes you have to go across to another field also to get information for your research. So, that is your creativity thinking, isn't it? Okay. Next is evaluation. After getting all the information, you have to finally sit and analyze it. And then you have to evaluate how far is it correct? Does it have any proof? Can we give it validity? Okay, so these are the things that you have to think of when you evaluate something. Okay, now this is basic research skills. Now let us move to the next type of research skills. They are, yes, next one, primary research skills. Now, what are primary research skills? Primary research skills are something which are very useful indirectly to the research. Basic research skills are directly useful to the research, whereas primary research skills are indirectly useful to the research. Now, what are they? The first one is time management. Now, time is a very big factor in research. See, mostly people they enroll for research, and by the time they finish research, it will be so many years. Previously, I remember some of the people in my place, there were people who did research for more than 10 years. It just went on and on and on like that. But nowadays, the rules are very strict and we have to submit monthly reports, or at least for 3 months a report has to be submitted regarding the progress of work. And if we are unable to show progress, we will be removed from the roles. Okay, now the process is very strict, so for that you need to have time management. If you don't have effective time management, it is very difficult to become successful in research. You have to set short term goals for each every 3 months. Like that, you have to set a goal and say, in this 3 months I'm going to collect information on this topic. In these 3 months I'm going to finish experimentation. In this 3 months I'm going to do the statistical analysis. Like that, you have to put a goal for yourself and work towards it. That's the only way research can be completed efficiently on time. Okay, so that is why time management, though it is indirectly related, it is very, very important for research. Okay, next is problem solving. Now, when we research, so many things, unexpected things may happen. Sometimes you start an experiment, in the middle, something happens, it fails. Or sometimes you want to go to a place and search for a source. Suddenly, that book is not available there, or suddenly, those articles are not to be had. So, something like that will happen. Then, what will you do? You can't give up, isn't it? The time frame is very short. So, you have to have problem solving skills. You have to understand how you can solve these problems. You have to find ways how you can reach solutions. And you need to have strong determination also, along with problem solving. Okay. And next is critical thinking. I told you research is a very intensive study, in-depth study. So that is why critical thinking is necessary. You have to understand what, whenever you start a research question and start answering it, you have to understand how far this is correct. How far am I proving it? Is my proof good? Is my proof enough? Do I have to find more proof for this? So, like that, you have to think. So, that is critical thinking. And communication. Communication is very important in research, especially between your supervisor and the scholar. If you don't communicate your problems properly, the supervisor will not be able to help you, isn't it? And if there is some miscommunication, the research will suffer. Okay, so that is why it is a priority for every researcher to have good communication, not just with the supervisor. Even when you are doing a survey or a sample study, you need to have good communication with your team everywhere, isn't it? So that is why communication is also indirectly responsible for a good research. Next is summarizing. This is also a problem. I have seen some people encountering it. Even I faced a little problem with summarizing because when I wrote my first draft, it was very big. I mean, bigger than what the length was supposed to be. So I had to go through everything and cut it short in such a way that the essence is not lost. See, I have to keep the essence, but still I have to reduce the length. Okay. So it was a slight problem for me for about 2 or 3 days. I had to struggle with it, but still I was able to do it. So that is why summarizing, you have to think very clearly. When you start writing, you should always keep in mind. That is what my supervisor always told me. Keep in mind the length to which you have to write. Keep in mind the topic on which you are writing. You should not go away from the topic. Mostly people try to ramble, isn't it? We move into other topics also sometimes unknowingly. That should not happen in research. It is to be very, very focused on what you have as a research question. So, summarizing, you have to learn. And IT skills, information technology. Of course, computer knowledge is very, very, very necessary for research nowadays. You need to have all computer skills. You need to have editing skills. You should know how to make presentations. You should know how to do Word. You should know how to do PDFs. All these stuff you have to learn. Okay. And if you're doing statistical analysis like that, you have to, you should learn how to use Excel also. So all these skills come under IT skills. So that's why I have clubbed them together. So all these skills are necessary for doing research. So these are all indirectly responsible for good research. Okay. Next, additional skills. Additional skills is how do we write the thesis part? Okay. Now, when we write thesis part, you should first formulate questions. And then you should formulate answers. That follows actually. So in research, we have to do a part called research questions. We have to frame research questions and we have to find answers for these questions. And how can we find answers? Through information, through proofs, and through experiments. Okay. Next is observing. We have to observe very carefully how the project is progressing. We have to observe carefully the results that we are getting from the experiments or the surveys. Okay. And next, we have to plan. We have to plan how we can start the research. We have to plan how we have to go about the research, and we have to plan how to we have to conclude the research. So the entire plan, starting till the end, the entire plan we have to make. I told you, no, every 3 months you keep a short term goal. Overall goal is finishing your project. But there should be short term goals for every 3 months so that you won't lose track of your research. If you do it in that way, you can definitely finish it within 3 or 4 years. Okay. Next is collecting data. Now, collecting data is a very challenging task because you really don't know how far, how much you need and how far you should go. These are the questions which you don't know in the beginning. Okay, but as the research progresses, as the time progresses, then you will get a better understanding of what you need. So, collection of data, initially you have to collect, but as you progress with your research, then the new questions will come, new challenges will come. Then again, you have to do a collection of data. I have done it twice. So like that, I have many friends who have done it even in the last stage of their research. So collection of the data depends on the topic actually. Okay. So if you are doing a research based on experimentation, then collection of data will be there till the end. Okay. So it depends and it varies from topic to topic. Next is recording data. Now recording data, most of us record it in writing. But there are some research topics for which you have to record pictures, you have to record videos. One of my friends, she did a research on a live poet. Okay. So she went and recorded the poems which are read out by the poetess herself. Okay. So she took her interviews. So all those videos also she put in the research. So like that, recording data differs from, again, topic to topic. Okay. And next, organizing data. Organizing data is same for all. You have to organize your data into 4 or 5 chapters, mostly 5 chapters. Sometimes it depends on, again, your topic and the advice of your supervisor. Next, interpreting data. Interpreting data is very important for statistical analysis. If you're doing any surveys or questionnaires or anything based on that, then data interpretation is very, very important. It should be done very perfectly and keenly. No type of margin will be given. No error should be there when you interpret data. That is not at all allowed. So you should be 100% sure with your data. Okay. And presenting research. Presenting research is the last part, but it is the most effective part and it will earn you the marks. So you should prepare a very good presentation to present your research. Okay. Next, please. Yeah. Now this is the continuation of additional skills. Let us see. Critical thinking, problem solving, analysis, dissemination. This is an extension of what we have previously talked about. Now, under critical thinking, we can think about imagination and creativity, logic and reasoning, conceptual thinking, reflection, and feedback. Now, let us try to understand what these are. Imagination and creativity. Now, when you are working on your research, at some point I told you the regular methods may not be very, very successful. In such cases, we have to go for imaginative and creative ways. Okay. Next is logic and reasoning. Now, when we are doing, as I told you, when we are doing statistical analysis, your logic should be very, very sound. And your reasoning should be very, very clear. You should know what is the question, what is the answer, how you are presenting it. Okay. Next is conceptual thinking. Now, when we do in literature, we have different concepts and we try to adopt these concepts, take that framework and bring it to the work which we are examining and try to apply it. Okay. So that is conceptual thinking. You take a concept and you try to apply it. Suppose I take the concept of feminism and I try to apply it to my topic, to my work, to show how feminist principles are there in this work. Okay. So that is application. Now, next is reflection and feedback. Now, after finishing research, after presenting the data, you will have to reflect on your own and you have to take the feedback of your supervisor, of the people, the panel who have read, and you have to incorporate it into your final output. All of us do that. So that comes under reflection and feedback. Next is problem solving. In problem solving also, There is imagination and creativity, as I told before. I'm not repeating it again. And next, data collection. In data collection also, I told you sometimes the data which you collect may not be enough. See, sometimes we say this age group, we have to collect data. But once we collect data, it may or may not be suitable for our topic. Then we have to change the age group. Then we have to change the question. Sometimes it happens, isn't it? So data collection depends on the topic. Okay. Next, analysis. In analysis, the other parts are the same. The different part is scientific experimentation. Now, in science topics or medical topics or physics or chemistry, all these things come under science topics. In these topics, experiments are very important. Whereas if you take arts or commerce, you don't have scientific experimentation. Okay. So scientific experimentation is found in science topics. And in these topics, analysis is very important. The sound analysis will give you a good research output. If you are not clear about your analysis, then the output will suffer. Okay. Next is dissemination. Dissemination means presenting it. As I told you, presentation is effective, and if it is not effective, you will lose lot of marks also. So that is why whatever you do for 4 or 5 years, all that will come to just 1.5 hours of presentation. So you have to be very careful to pick, to choose what to present in that 1.5 hours. Okay. Yes. Next, please. Checklist. Now, what are the things that you have to keep in mind when you are preparing your thesis? What are the things? First one is your topic. Next is finding information on that topic. Next is primary and secondary. What is the primary source? Primary source is the work or the research question that you are taking. Secondary source is the research done on that previously, and the secondary works that are written on that topic previously. Those all come under secondary sources. Okay. Next is collection of data. Now, when you collect data, it can be in any form. As I told you, it can be book, it can be audio, it can be video, it can be painting, it can be a blog post, it can be anything on internet. Okay. Next is recording evidence. Recording evidence, as I told you, it can be recorded directly as a note, or it can be recorded indirectly. I mean, it can be recorded directly as a video also, directly as a call also. Okay. Like that, records can be maintained. And then presenting. As I told you, presentation of the topic. Next is evaluate. Now, when you have presented your topic, the jury and the supervisor will evaluate and give you feedback. So you have to incorporate that into your research. Okay. Now, next, you have to think of your due date. I told you every 3 months you have to keep a short-term goal. Long-term goal is your due date, when you're supposed to submit, when you're supposed to finish, and when you're supposed to submit, and when you're supposed to be ready for your viva. Okay. So all these due dates, you have to keep them in your mind. The size. Size, I told you, you have to be very clear how many pages are expected from your thesis. Mostly 150 to 200. Mostly. In some cases, it may vary. Okay. And next, research question. Be very clear about your research question, because that is the goal of your presentation. If you don't understand your goal, you can't present it properly. So that is why research question is very important. Scope of the research. How far the research can go. Can it span to this many years? Can it span to that area, this area, like that, the scope? Methodology. Which methodology are you using? Are you using comparative study, or are you using analytical study? Which type of methodology are you using? Keywords. What are the keywords for your research question? Now, keywords are used, please note this very carefully. Keywords are used in Google search. Okay. So that is why if your research has good keywords and if you are able to give in good keywords to your research will be first in the results given by Google if you have good keywords. Okay. So that is why you have to develop good keywords for your research. And next, key theorists. Who are the theorists based on whose ideology you are working? That also you have to be clear about. Okay. Next, please. Next, please. Yes. Gathering evidence. In gathering evidence, we have to think of different ways. First one is qualitative evidence. How do we get qualitative evidence? From people and interviews directly. You go to people and you conduct an interview. Okay, that is qualitative. Quantitative evidence. Quantitative evidence is you give them a survey. You share it online or you share it on WhatsApp. You give a link to them, or sometimes some people give Google Forms like that, and they will ask you to fill it. So from that they get quantitative evidence. So how many of people like this? How many of people don't like this? How many of people support this? How many of people are against this? Such data is called quantitative data. Qualitative data, what people like, what they are like. This that is individual. Quantitative is collective. Okay, that is the difference. And next is historical evidence. Now, historical evidence can be found from artifacts, from relics, from archives. These are found in libraries, and these are also sometimes found in ancient ruins like that. People who work on archaeology finds, all these things, they depend on historical evidence. Okay. Next, geographical evidence. Geographical evidence is an extension of historical. Okay. Geographic actually they dig and find. Okay. See, suppose they go to a new place and they start digging an archaeological site. They find new relics and artifacts. That is geographical evidence. Next is textual evidence. Textual evidence is what you find in written texts, in all the books in the library, in language, and sometimes in symbols. See, suppose the lotus represents goddess, isn't it? Like that, tiger represents strength. So, like that, there are some symbols which the dog represents faithfulness, isn't it? So, symbols are common to many cultures. Though languages are different, symbols are mostly common. So, sometimes people depend on symbols also to get evidence. See, suppose we are experimenting or we are researching ancient languages. So that language we don't know, but there are symbols in that language through which we can understand because symbols are common mostly to many cultures. Okay, next is artistic evidence, which is found in images, arts, and performances like dramas, like folk arts, all these things. Next, please. Yeah. Tips to improve research skills. How can we improve our research skills? We can improve our research skills by following these tips. They are broad to specific parameters. Now, whenever you choose a topic, you choose the broadest topic. So, suppose my topic, my broadest topic is fourth world literature. Okay. Then I came to specific parameters like from fourth world literature, I came down to Native American. And from Native American, I further narrowed it down to female writers. And then I further narrowed it down to the language in which they have written. Okay, so like that, from broad to the narrow parameter, you have to come. Okay. Next is standard sources. What are the standard sources? Standard sources are what we find in libraries and what we find on internet. There are some literary sites and there are some, I will speak about them in the next slide. So I won't go deeply now. I will explain. Okay, let us move to the next point. Organization and citations. Now, whenever we research, we have to acknowledge from where we have taken this information from. That is called citation. Citation means telling which source this information came from. Okay, that acknowledgement is important for the transparency and for the authenticity of the research. Okay, so that is why we have to understand how to cite. There are different types of citations like MLA citation, and we have IEEE citation, we have API citation. Like that, we have many types of citations. So we have to see which type of citation is required by our university. Depending on that, we have to make the citations. That procedure is available on internet. Okay. Next is managing schedule. As I told you, you have to have a very detailed timetable of long term and short term goals, which you have to manage. And then extensive and intensive reading. Extensive reading means, suppose my topic is fourth world, so I read a vast expanse of fourth world literature, the key works. Now, intensive reading, I focus specially on the work which I have taken. That is intensive reading. Okay. Overall knowledge is extensive. The concentrated effort which we put on one work is called intensive reading. Okay. Next is make notes and periodical reports. Reporting is very important. Many universities nowadays are asking you to make a detailed report every 3 months. Okay. So you should be very careful about how you are making your report. And there should be definitely improvements, further improvements in each and every report. Okay. Next is compare with similar findings. There are many people in the world who are doing research, and there are many people doing research on the same topic as you. Okay. So you should be able to compare your ideas with them and see how you are same and how you are different. Both you should see. Okay. And next is browse for open information. There are many types of information that are available on internet. You have to find out all this through internet. That's why you have to browse for it. Next is adopt a questioning attitude. Whenever you see, don't blindly follow something. Try to question it and get proof for it. Okay. Next is critical reading. I already covered this. You have to read it with a critical mind. Next is close reading. Close reading means each and every word you should analyze. That is called close reading. Close reading means reading each and every word, just as I have done at the beginning of the presentation. I tried to analyze what is research, skill, development, all three words, isn't it? That is close reading. Reading each and every word, trying to understand each and every word. Okay, that is close reading. And then develop thesis statement and hypothesis. Now, always be very clear about your research question, and also you develop your thesis statement. Means the primary focus of your research, and develop a hypothesis. Means, am I doing it in a critical way or a comparative way or in an analytical way? Like that, you have to formulate your hypothesis. And learn citation procedures. As I told you, MLA, all these styles, IEEE, you have to find out which is required by your university, and you have to learn thoroughly about citation, because definitely they will ask you questions in viva also about citations. And if your citation is wrong, it will be a big zero. It will be a big question for the examiners. Okay, they won't tolerate that. So you have to be very clear about your citation procedures and take up short projects. Nowadays, all supervisors are encouraging the scholars to take short projects based on the topics that they have chosen. So this will help the scholars to understand their research question more thoroughly and to explore it in many ways. And that will be useful later on for your main research. Okay, next please. Research skill development framework for students. Now this is something, RSD is something which I have come across on the site of University of Adelaide, Australia. Okay. They have given 5 levels of research for students. So till now we have been talking about faculty research, isn't it? Now I thought I will incorporate student research also, because as faculty we do our own studies as well as we guide our students also to study, isn't it? So research skills should be developed from young age itself. Then it will be useful for them when they grow up and go for research. Okay. So 5 levels, in 5 levels we can develop research skills in students. What are those 5 levels? Prescribed research, bounded research, scaffolded research, student research, and open-ended research. Okay. Let us try to understand what they are. Next slide. Prescribed research. Now, in this prescribed research, the entire framework is given by the teachers themselves. Okay, they give the direction, they choose the questions to be asked, and they use very simple language. The student has to do what is told to them. That's it. Simple instructions, they have to follow them and bring result. Okay, that is prescribed research. Next, bounded research. It is a little more autonomy to the student. Here, the student is given prescribed methodology, but he is given freedom to ask his own questions. Okay, he can ask his own questions. He can go and ask technical questions. He can use simple technical language. Okay, yeah. Next one, scaffolded research. Scaffold is the word which is used in constructions. Okay. Scaffold is something on which people stand to make constructions. It is like a protection for the worker. Like that, scaffolded research is a protection for the people who are working. Okay. So you are protecting the student, you are giving him clues, you are giving him support to conduct research. Okay. So this is called scaffolded research. In scaffolded research, the student is given a little more autonomy and he can reflect on his responses. Next is student initiated research. In student initiated research, the faculty will be only guiding him. The entire autonomy is given to the student himself. He will formulate his own questions. He will formulate his own methods to work. That is student initiated research. Next one, open research. Open research is something where the role of the teacher is very, very minimum. The entire research is conducted by the students themselves. They are given complete autonomy. They can collect their own data, analyze it in their own way, and present it in their own way. This happens usually at the bachelor degree projects. There you give them complete autonomy, and the PG projects are even more elaborate. Okay, so this is how we can start with prescribed research in school level itself, go to bounded research, and then go to scaffolded research maybe in PU level, And by the time they come to degree level, we can give them open research. So like this, we can develop research skills in students also. Okay, next one. Why research? Next, please. Why research for faculty? Why should faculty go for research? How can it help us as faculty members? Because first and foremost, research helps in integration of professional experience and expertise. Now, when we are doing research, what I have discovered is when we are doing research, we mingle with so many professionals. We come across so many different opinions. We come across so many different ideas. We come across so much of information. So, all these things, it is a combination of your experience, their experience, your expertise, their expertise. So, definitely, when you combine all these things, it will benefit you a lot as a teacher because you will know more, you will learn more, you will definitely grow more. So, for that, research is important for faculty. And through research, when you're researching on student feedback or when you're researching on study materials or when you're researching on teaching practices, definitely you will understand your students better. You will understand their needs better. You will address their problems more easily. Research helps you in that. And next, innovative teaching strategies. When you read about so many different strategies, when you experiment in your own class with those strategies, definitely you will develop your own kind of teaching methodology. That will really help you as a teacher because you are not simply following what your mind tells, you are also taking the help of experts. So your own strength will increase as a teacher when you follow research. And next, it will help you in professional development. Definitely. When you do research, you will get a different kind of recognition in your professional community. And next, enhance the quality of teaching methods. You can develop better teaching methods through research. And you can get other perspectives and the bigger picture. You can know how the world is working. And when you know that, you will also move ahead in your own profession. It will give you more confidence and definitely more job satisfaction. Okay? So these are the reasons for a good research in faculty. Next is why research for students? Yeah. Why should students be encouraged to do research? First and foremost, it will develop their knowledge. The second thing is it will develop memory of the students. And whenever you give them a small research problem and you ask them to solve it, so it's a thrill for the students that they have solved something. They are given a problem, they have solved it. So it's a kind of boost for the students. And definitely when they do research, when they do apprenticeships, when they do internships, definitely the students will have good employment opportunities. And research also teaches them study skills like time management, communication, all these things we have discussed, isn't it? So all those skills the students also can learn, which will help them later in professional life. And it helps them to stay updated. When you do research, you are always doing the understanding the latest technology, the latest knowledge. Okay, so you keep updated for yourself and develop new ideas and innovation and teaches discernment and raises awareness. When you do research, you will also develop discretion. What is correct, what is wrong? How we should we do this in a deeper way, or should we stop it here? Is this correct for the society or is this wrong for the society? So such discernment can be learned when we do research. And it also raises awareness about the problems which we don't know before. Once you start doing research, you will understand that there are so many problems that can be encountered through this. So such problems we can understand and we can be aware of such problems through research. Okay? Yes. Conclusion. Now, somebody may get a doubt. How can we develop research skills? Yeah, we can have research skills on our own. Yes, most of us have. But it doesn't hurt to learn about research skills in a systematic manner through a course. Okay, there are courses like this in these websites. The first one is Coursera, next one is Class Central, and third one is Justor. Okay, now these three sites, there are many sites. I am just quoting you three sites. In these three sites, there are many courses that are available on research development skills. And I'm happy to tell you that some of them are free. So if you are really interested to develop your skills, research skills, you can do these courses. They are very short term courses. Some courses are just only for 10 weeks like that. And 10 weeks, you just have to spend 1 or 2 hours every week, not more than that. Okay. And at the end of this, they will give you an exam. And most of the sites, they will give you a certificate if you pay. Okay. The course is free, but okay. You can explore. There are so many other sites also added to this. Even many foreign universities are also giving, offering these courses. You can find them in these three websites. You can go to additional sites also. They are very, very helpful to develop your research skills. Okay. That's it for today's presentation. If you have any doubts, please express them. I would be happy